Welcome back to Brett Breaks Things. You know the deal. You know where you're at. You know what time it is. And speaking of the time, first I want to say a lot of the comments I've been getting about the show, 99.9% of them have been positive. The trolls haven't found me yet. It's been good for my ego, good for my confidence, and I appreciate every single one of you that reaches out on the YouTube, the website. The support on TikTok has been amazing, and I appreciate all of that. One of the comments I got was about our time slot. I keep getting comments about our time slot. Right now, there's not a whole lot of flexibility for us. Okay. And there may be options going forward, maybe adjustments to the time slot going forward. We might do a pre recorded thing. I don't want to, Scott hates it when I peel back the curtain, but I might, we might do some pre recorded stuff. It depends on who picks us up and, the logistics of all of that. Unfortunately, right now, it's 12 p.m. Eastern. Not a whole lot we can do about it. All I can say is, please, if you can't watch me live, we post every single show on the website, brettbreaksthings.com. And on that website, you can also, there's links to some of our other social media outlets and links to contribute to the GoFundMe, which has been doing incredible. Again, I'm humbled. If you're confused about how to get there, you can either go to GoFundMe and search the name Brett Breaks Things, or just go to our website, brettbreaksthings.com, and you can donate that way. Okay. The crash out is real. Okay, this Elon thing has been building and building and building. And some of you might, oh, Elon again. I'm not too worried about Elon. You may not be too enthralled with Elon and this particular drama, but now it's starting to leak and seep into the Republican Party and the comments they're making about this bill and about, the points that Elon is making in his crash out. What crash out am I referring to? Well, there's a number of tweets that came out recently. So, yeah, yesterday afternoon. Thank you. So I'm going to put these up on screen as I read them real quick. This is from Elon. I'm sorry, but I just can't stand it anymore. This massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination. Shame on those who voted for it. You know you did wrong. You know it. He continues. It will massively increase an already gigantic budget deficit to $2.5 billion. The burden American citizens with crushingly unsustainable debt. I'm sorry, I just can't stand it anymore. Congress is making America bankrupt. In November next year, we fire all politicians who betrayed the American people. And I agree, and this is from Rand Paul on the back end of that, right after Rand Paul jumps on the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And I like how, and we're going to get some other tweets from Republicans because Elon rapid fires this stuff out, and Elon rapid fire tweets this stuff out. And so a couple Weasley little Republicans are like, hey, maybe if we tweet some stuff out here, Trump won't notice, right? He'll be focused on the betrayal of Elon. And Rand Paul says, I agree with Elon. We have both seen the massive waste in government spending, and we know another $5 trillion in the debt is a huge mistake. But that's not going out on too far of a limb for Rand, because Rand's had a lot to say about this, a lot. But so other people, other sources, other sounders, stuff's coming out now that Elon's opened the floodgates. Other people are emboldened to speak on this, but again, the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Breaking news, Elon Musk and I agree with each other. The GOP tax scam is a disgusting abomination. Every single Republican who voted for the one big, ugly bill should be ashamed of themselves. They aren't helping their constituents. They are hurting their constituents. That's an objectively verifiable fact. The GOP tax scam is a disgusting abomination.
A disgusting abomination. He mimics the rhetoric of Elon there. Of course, he's emboldened, right? He's trying to ride this wave. And of course, also trying to get in on this momentum of this anti-big, beautiful bill momentum going on, started by Elon. Schumer's got something to say. He's joined by Amy Klobuchar.
The one big, ugly bill.
Sorry, this is this is the back end of the Jeffries sound. I apologize. This is the back end of the Jeffries sound. He continues, which I want to play you. This is kind of like, the Minority House Leader Jeffries. This is his, full take on this.
The one big, ugly bill would enact the largest cut to nutritional assistance in American history. That's also disgusting. Republicans literally want to rip food out of the mouths of children, veterans, and seniors.
Okay, I'm gonna stop it there because this is more about Elon than it is about Jeffries. But I just wanted the enemy of my enemy is my friend. I don't know if you see what I'm seeing with Jeffries. He's doing his best Obama impression, right? Which I don't think that's a terrible strategy. But I see you, Hakeem. I see you because I've listened to you since you became minority leader, and you have really molded your idiosyncrasies and your mannerisms when speaking to the American people, and it just seems like you've molded it into something that reminds me of Obama's calm, thoughtful, toned down rhetoric, especially in comparison to what we hear from representatives these days. Obama always seemed to me like the eye of the storm. Anytime something big was happening, something that was directly affecting the culture war, had people's hackles up, whenever you heard from Obama about it, it was calm. It was a centering feeling. He brought reason, judicious terminology to the table. I feel like Hakeem's doing a little bit of that. Schumer, he had something to say with Klobuchar.
How does Musk's opposition change your approach to fight against this?
Well, Musk's opposition shows how bad, if even Elon Musk, who's been part of the whole process and as Trump's buddy says the bill is bad, you can imagine how bad this bill is.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that Musk is disagreeing with the spending cuts, right? I don't know if you guys...
Look, I just read you what Musk said. He said people should be ashamed to vote for this bill. I agree with him.
Our members have commented about the debt and the fact that they are actually adding more tax cuts for the wealthiest, which makes it worse on the debt. So in that way, when Musk is talking about the debt, we think this bill is a problem because of the debt as well.
It's a problem because of the debt and many other things. And Musk said people shouldn't vote for the bill. Let's hope the Republicans follow him, not Trump.
I felt like Schumer wasn't as appreciative of Amy's interjection there, but the reporter said, "Hey, it's really about the deficit, right? It's really about the debt, rather, for the Republicans." Kind of signifying that it might not be on the same vibe as Schumer was bringing to the table. And Schumer's just like, well, we're angry, okay? It's disgusting. Don't worry about parsing why we're all disgusted. Democrats and Republicans alike, we're disgusted, and we're on the same page. Stop trying to divide us on this. Amy interjects, and he felt he felt some type of way about that. But they're on the same page as Elon and Jeffries, and they're all riding this wave of dissension. And now that it's more of a nonpartisan wave of dissension, they're going to go ahead and seize the opportunity. Why wouldn't they? Of course they're going to. But why is Musk really upset? Is he upset on behalf of us? Because Musk cares so much about the well-being of the American family. Musk cares so much about the injustices being crammed into this bill because Musk is such a philanthropist that he just can't stand by and not call it the abomination that it is because he's just so interested in your well-being, America. No. That's not how Musk works, okay? And Randy did call this one when I asked her to long game this relationship in a conversation. She said they're gonna blow up. You can't have these two guys working in simpatico together without incident. And she was right. Go figure. Two megalomaniacs, sociopaths working this closely together. Go figure they might have a little conflict, and the conflict is finally here. But what is the conflict for Elon? There's a few points that were pointed out by Axios. Okay, in reporting by Axios, Axios has contacts within Elon's sphere and Trump's administration. So they were able to kind of collect the actual facts about this. One, this bill eliminates the electric vehicle tax credit. There was an electric vehicle tax credit. You buy an electric vehicle, you get a tax credit. It's to incentivize the American people to go to EV. It's obviously, on the renewable resource tip. It's on the clean energy tip. And that was a previous tax credit that had been implemented. And Musk had spent $240,000 in lobbyists to get that in there. Gone. That will, of course, hurt his business. That will, of course, hurt Tesla's business, their bottom line, which has been damaged already, down 100 a share. What else is he upset about? Well, Musk is a SGE, okay? He's a special government employee. It's somebody who can be hired by the administration for advisory work, okay? Nobody, not elected or nominated by anybody, no oath sworn, just somebody who comes into the administration to assist. They are allowed to be there for 130 days, but there is language in the details of this that can allow for an extension of that, okay? And there's all sorts of rules that had to be abided by while Musk was this 130-day SGE, special government employee. But the bottom line is, he could have stayed. He could have stayed. And he was forced out. He is no longer an SGE, okay? He also wanted Starlink to be solely responsible for the Federal Aviation Administration satellite system, the National Air Control System. He wanted Starlink to be contracted, subsidized, and used solely for all of our air traffic control. The administration said, no, we cannot solely use satellites for air traffic control. That's not a thing. It's not going to happen. And finally, Jared Isaacman, one of Musk's buddies, was tapped and pushed to a position of authority in NASA, was going to be. It was Elon's pick to head up NASA. Jared Isaacman is he's only 43, a pilot. He had done space exploration for SpaceX. He did the first U.S. citizen spacewalk, and he's Elon's buddy. And this was Elon doing a solid for his homeboy. And the administration nixed that as well. And they're saying it was personal. They're saying this stuff was personal, orchestrated by a guy named Sergio Gore, the director of the Office of Presidential Personnel. One person close to the administration said it was Sergio's FU out the door to Elon. The dissension is real. The crash out is real.
It's time for a quick break. Then we break some more. You're listening to Brett Breaks Things. Breaking news, breaking rules, breaking through. Back to Brett Breaks Things.
All right. So the crash out is real. The separation is real. The schism between Trump and Elon is very real. It's very public now. According to Brian Kilmeade on Fox and Friends, Trump's furious. That's the words he used. Trump's furious. Now, we haven't heard from Trump on this yet. I think he might be writing his opus, and it's taking a little time. We might see some of the most impressive rhetoric out of Trump we have heard to date on anybody who was once one of those finest people, right? I get only the finest people, only the best people. And now, once again, one of those best people have seen this administration for what it is, been burned by it themselves, and now comes out vocally against the Trump administration. We've definitely seen this movie before, okay, Michael Cohen. We've seen this movie before. It's a reoccurring theme in Trump's life. But Kilmeade says Trump's furious. Apparently Mike Johnson reached out to Elon. After these tweets, Elon did not return his call, left him on red. Mike Johnson. Once again, Trump taps Johnson. Hey, go do my dirty work. I like the line you did last week. That was good stuff. That may come back to bite you. Who knows? Not my problem. Now I want you to go talk to Elon. Go fix this, Mike Johnson. Because Mike Johnson and Elon have some connection. They're buds. They have a lot in common. Anyway, so there were some other tweets by other Republicans. We'll see if we can get to some of those. Let me get those locked and loaded. All right, so here's Scott Perry. There's a tweet by Scott Perry. Elon is right to call out House leadership. I wish I had a nickel for every time the Freedom Caucus sounded the alarm and nobody listened, only to find out the hard way that we were right all along. We expect massive improvements from the Senate before it gets back to the House. So it does have to make it through the Senate. That's what this is all about. And keep in mind, I said this about the Republican dissension before it made it through the House, right? I told you, don't get too enamored with this Republican dissension. They are just jockeying to get what they want out of this bill. It is not the overarching injustice of this tax cut that they are against. Right now, they are saying it's the debt, right? It's the debt. We cannot increase the debt this much. That's the main sticking point for most of the Republican side dissension. It's the debt. We can't do this. We're supposed to be the fiscal ones. The Democrats are the ones that raise the debt, not us. Marjorie Taylor Greene did not read it, saying the quiet part out loud about how little they know about things they vote on. Full transparency. It is important to say now she's going to go on a rant about an overarching AI bill. And I'm going to give you the details of that very quickly. Back of the envelope after I read you this tweet, because this AI bill is a whole nother show. And I'd love to dig in. We have plans to dig in. Can't tell you exactly when. Maybe some details on this will come out. Of course, all of these things in this bill are subject to change before it makes its way through the Senate. So maybe this will be a nothing burger. Maybe it will be moot. But right now, there's an AI bill, and Marjorie's super upset. Full transparency, I did not know about this section on pages 278 and 279 of the one big beautiful bill that strips states the rights to make laws or regulate AI for 10 years. I adamantly opposed to this. I am adamantly opposed to this, and it is a violation of states' rights, and I would have voted no if I had known it was in there. We have no idea what AI will be capable of in the next 10 years, and giving it free rein and tying the state's hands is potentially dangerous, needs to be stripped, yada, yada, yada. I did not know. And why is she so invested in states' rights? Because that was the drum that they banged when they wanted to take women's reproductive rights away. That is what the Supreme Court said should ultimately be the deciding factor, the states, not the federal government on matters that concern the states. So she's at least trying to be consistent while admitting she didn't read the bill that she voted yes on. Gotcha. Republican leadership, gotcha. Trump, gotcha, Marjorie Taylor Greene. God, how delicious would a split between Marjorie Taylor Greene and Trump be? You want to talk about the most loyal of stormtroopers. Marjorie Taylor Greene has said the most wild crap in defense of this administration, worn wild crap. Remember that weather balloon outfit she wore? I mean, she is absolutely bat crap crazy in defense of this administration, and she snuck that tweet in there. We'll see if Trump notices that. But this AI bill, it prevents the states from regulating AI laws. Not only does it prevent it for 10 years from making any AI-related laws themselves, it negates any state AI laws that have already been passed, like Tennessee's Elvis Act, which not just protects Elvis's propriety, but musicians' propriety in general. Obviously, Tennessee, Memphis being a music hub, this is an issue that's very important to them. They passed laws that are now going to be, if this makes it through, null and void. And there is a huge dissension about this. Huge, with lots of arguments against it. 260 lawmakers from all 50 states, almost split straight down the middle between Democrats and Republicans, have come out against this bill. It poses threats to fast evolving AI threats. They say that the government, the sludge and the swamp of government legislation will not be able to keep up with the changing tide of AI threats. And they have a point there. It addresses laws that have already been passed, the one in Tennessee, South Dakota, other places, and they would not be able to pass their own laws in defense of any AI threats or copyright threats. It just totally ties the state's hands. They just have no recourse. It's all up to our government, who we know is just the most efficient. And of course, our main competition, China, they have no such legislation tie-ups. They have no such handcuffing on the speed at which their AI develops and evolves, the speed at which they are able to defend against threats posed by AI, copyright material. They are all in, all on the same page. There's no dissension from 260 lawmakers in China. That gets met with a whole different response from the government. You understand? So that's not a thing. It's not a thing. So not only does it hurt states' ability to defend themselves, but it really does. It really would help China, which, hey, America first, guys. You love that? Guys and girls, you love that? Helping China out once again. So Rand Paul, I mentioned his tweet. He doesn't mind being vocal because he's been vocal against the big, beautiful bill.
In fact, this will be the first time conservative Republicans have actually voted for a debt ceiling, and it will be the largest increase in our debt ceiling in our history. And I think it's a mistake because once conservative Republicans vote for this, there is no conservative opposition. They will own it. The debt will be owned by the Republicans. It's no more pointing fingers at the Democrats and saying, oh, they're the big spenders. It'll be all on Republican shoulders, and I'm not going to be one of the Republicans who's going to be responsible for this debt. I'm going to continue to be a voice saying we need to cut spending.
Yeah, his problem is the debt. That's the problem that a lot of Republicans who have the gumption to speak out against this, that's what they're saying. He continues. I got more video.
Do you have 3 other Republicans who will stand with you to block this bill?
I think there are 4 of us at this point, and I would be very surprised if the bill at least is not modified in a good direction. Look, I want to vote for it. I'm for the tax cuts. I voted for the tax cuts before. I want the tax cuts to be permanent. But at the same time, I don't want to raise the debt ceiling $5 trillion. So I've told him if you take the debt ceiling off the bill, in all likelihood, I can vote for what the agreement is on the rest of the bill. And it doesn't have to be perfect to my liking, but I can't be. If I vote for the $5 trillion debt, who's left in Washington that cares about the debt? We will have lost. But the GOP will own the debt once they vote for this.
But you got to give him credit because he's long gaming this. He knows what the optics will be and how much tougher it will be for him to run and other Republicans to run and win election races if they do this very clear raising of the debt. So who is he talking about? What allies is he talking about? He's talking about Ron Johnson. He mentioned spending levels, but not just spending levels. Some of these Republicans raise valid concerns. Josh Hawley of Missouri, he is concerned about the cuts to Medicaid, potentially regarding the cuts to the benefits that will be received. Susan Collins of Maine, it might impact rural hospitals. Lisa Murkowski, Medicaid changes being cited again in her dissension. Mike Lee out of Utah, Rick Scott out of Florida, he might have more than 3 other. They've got a 3-seat majority in the Senate right now. 3-seat. But they got to peel off more than those 3. That's why he mentioned 4, because the vice president gets the tie-breaking vote in the Senate. Keep that in mind. They got to get 4 to peel off. 4 is the magic number. I just listed you 7. Is it doable? Is Mitch McConnell going to get on board? They may beat their projection.
Breaking politics, breaking narratives, breaking news. But first, we need a coffee break.
.substack.com.
Brett breaks things because someone has to.
But to put things in perspective, the bill increases spending for the military and for border over $300 billion. The DOGE cuts, which aren't in this bill, were about $200 billion. So this bill actually increases in the first couple of years spending more than all the DOGE cuts combined. Now we're going to do $9 billion. That's very small. It's a rounding error. I'm for it. I think Elon's done a great job. $9 billion is a pittance, but I'm for it. I absolutely am for cutting the $9 billion. But I fear, I fear we might not have the votes to cut the $9 billion. If we don't, I suggest people grab their pitchforks, figuratively, and march on Washington. If Republicans cannot cut $9 billion, we've got a problem with Republicans.
Rand Paul better hope nobody grabs a pitchfork and runs for the White House. you better hope that particular little soundbite doesn't come back to stab him in the butt with a pitchfork. But I like what he said there. I mean, look, there's been things Rand Paul, he's a culture warrior, right? Like, his value to the Republican Party has been in terms of the culture war, for the most part. But he comes out making sense about this bill. And what he's telling you right there is Elon's cuts by Doge was $200 billion, and we are exceeding that. The money we saved there will be chewed up and exceeded just by the military spending. He didn't mention what's added to the deficit, what's added to the debt from the tax cuts. He knows where his bread is ultimately buttered, and he wants to come to an agreement here. He wants to vote yes for this. He does, but not in the face of the optics that come with it right now as it sits. But he's not stupid enough to go out and say, these tax cuts for the corporate class, that's what's really costing us the money. No, he'll be like, hey, look over here. $300 billion for military and border spending, which, by the way, just if we're being clear, I'm all about spending more money at the border. I would love to take this issue off the Republicans' plate. When it comes election time, this is one of the issues that they win every single time. And if they're getting votes, a substantive amount of votes, every election cycle because of the border issue, let's make the border no longer an issue, at least not one that they can run and win on. Take that bullet out of the chamber for them. So if you want to spend more at the border, you want to finish your wall, finish your wall. You want to hire more ICE agents, hire more ICE agents. You want to pump $1 billion or more into drone technology, surveillance technology to assist our ICE agents in capturing more of the encounters at the border, do it. You want to spend money on more judges and to get the asylum process completely rejuvenated, where we don't just give them a court date and they, that's months in advance, they disappear into the country, never to be seen again. You want to stop that by hiring more judges and making sure that they are seen within 24 or 48 hours by a judge to have their asylum claim evaluated quickly? Let's do it. And by the way, those last 3 points I made, they were all in Biden's border bill that the Republicans unanimously shot down. But you want to do it now? Because the optics work for you now? Now that you have the House, Senate, and the executive branch? Now you want to, spend money at the border and fix this problem? Which I don't think you truly want to do, Republicans. At your own peril, fix it. But I'm for it. Spend it. But that's a great point he made. Okay? We didn't even cover, the Doge cuts didn't even cover the increase in military spending. Rand Paul continues, I just can't get enough of this guy.
Do you
right
not
now.
think the president has a point with deregulation and tax cuts that we could see real growth that actually helps not jack up the deficit as is accounted for?
I actually do, and this is where I think the president and I are talking past each other. I accept the growth arguments. I actually accept that cutting taxes can grow revenue. I believe it happened under Reagan. I believe it happened under the first Trump term, and I supported the tax cuts in the first term. I still support them. I support making them permanent, and I do believe they will bring in more revenue than the CBO projects. My objection to the bill isn't about the tax cuts, and it isn't about those calculations. My objection to the bill is they're going to raise the debt ceiling more than they ever have, $5 trillion, and that this will be the largest increase in the debt ceiling ever. And if the Republicans all vote for it, the Republicans will own the debt. They will lose their high moral ground. We will no longer be the party that can say, look at the Democrats. They're the ones, foisting the debt on our country. We're drowning in a sea of debt caused by Democrats, which has largely been true.
Okay, so he understands the optics involved in this. Okay, he understands that if the Republicans pass this huge tax cut for corporate class, if they pass this and it ends up adding to the debt, there's going to be no way around it. And all of their arguments about the Democrats being the ones that spend your money, frivolously and cause us more debt, that the Democrats are the ones who do that consistently across the board, and the Republicans cut, it just will hold no water again. It just will hold no water. And he knows that. And he's willing to just say that. And he mentions the CBO score, which has been mentioned by Caroline Leavitt. She likes to say they're wrong all the time. Then you've got Sounders by Mike Johnson.
Let me read you something that you said back in 2021 about the CBO. This was in relation to a Democratic bill. You said the CBO has confirmed this bill adds nearly $400 billion to the deficit, contrary to the White House's claim that the bill is paid for. So do you only believe the CBO when a Democrat is president, Mr. Speaker?
No, this is very easy to explain. The CBO sometimes gets projections correct.
That's right. The CBO gets projections correct sometimes. Like when the CBO says that that Democratic legislation will add to the debt or the deficit, the CBO is right. If the CBO were to say that Trump's tax cuts in his first term was going to increase GDP and decrease unemployment, well, they're right then. But right now, now that the CBO is saying that this bill, and by the way, the number has been amended. The original number that the CBO said that this bill would add to the debt was $3.2 trillion. There were some other nonpartisan sources that said it could have been as high as 5.1. Let's go with 3.8. I think I said 3.8. Now the CBO is coming out and saying it'll be about 2.4 trillion. That's the number they're going with right now. So let's be clear about that. But yeah, Mike Johnson says, but this time, now that it's the Democrats benefiting from this CBO projection, that we're going to cost the country, it's not right this time. It's not right this time. I'm going right to this next video. I'm going right to this stuff because love or hate Republican policy. Sometimes they're just bad people. And sometimes Democrats are bad people too. Sometimes they get arrested for stuff, and sometimes they say stuff that isn't great. Al Franken's career is absolutely ruined. And Menendez has been arrested. And, sometimes Democrats aren't great too. And I fully recognize that. They're politicians. But sometimes the Republicans are so comfortable being horrible that they forget themselves. They truly forget how to be statesmen, how to speak to us. Joni Ernst is a great example of that. At a town hall, she was asked about the cuts to Medicaid, and she just had enough of these peasants questioning the wisdom of her dear leader and had gotten fed up.
So people are not... Well, we all are going to die. So, for heaven's sakes.
Somebody shouts out, but people are going to die. She could have ignored it. She could have continued with her point. Or she could have said something remotely human. Instead, she says, well, yeah, we're all going to die. Okay, Joni, so since we're all going to die, just do what you want. Just do what you want with the bill. Do what you want with our health care. Do what you want with SNAP benefits. Do what you want to the VA, because we're all going to die, right? Stop arguing, you peasants. Stop shouting things at me. We're all going to die. The optics on that were delicious, but horrible for her. And so she felt she needed to make a statement after that. This is what I call an insincere apology.
Hello, everyone. I would like to take this opportunity to sincerely apologize for a statement that I made yesterday at my town hall. I was in the process of answering a question that had been asked by an audience member when a woman who was extremely distraught screamed out from the back corner of the auditorium, "People are going to die." And I made an incorrect assumption that everyone in the auditorium understood that, yes, we are all going to perish from this earth. So I apologize. And I'm really, really glad that I did not have to bring up the subject of the tooth fairy as well. But for those that would like to see eternal and everlasting life, I encourage you to embrace my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
So forget that you were highly offended by my comments because I'm a Christian. So get on board. Get on board with my comments. That should be most insulting to free-thinking, intelligent Christians in this country because there's a lot of you. And she's saying, yeah, I said something, but I'm lucky I didn't have to say anything about the tooth fairy too. This is all, you know, I shouldn't even be having to address this. You're so simple, you peasants. And if you are still offended, don't forget I'm a Christian, so I'm to be forgiven. And by the way, as far as people dying, the CBO also projects that a little over 10 million people officially will be off their health care. And the optics got worse and worse. And Joni got confronted on the Hill.
I'm very compassionate, and you need to listen to the entire conversation.
Do you have any
And
regrets about that?
We want to protect the most vulnerable.
Senator, is it not a valid concern people have that they may lose their health care or that others may die? Is that not a valid concern?
Or just even with the apology over the weekend, do you want to...
So the first chase down was before she gets on the elevator, right? So the person's jabbing her with questions as she's walking towards the elevator, right? She gets on the elevator, hits the button, and then starts answering the question. So yada, 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 talking point. Oh, the elevator doors are closing? What an unexpected turn of events. I don't have to answer this because the elevator doors closed. Who could have seen that coming? And then they run down the stairs, not to be denied their soundbite, and they chase her out to her car. And she's getting chased out to her car, peppered with questions. Not till she has the door open and she's halfway in does she start to answer the questions again, and then she closes. Oh, I can't answer it again. The door closed. Who could have seen that coming? This unexpected door close. I guess I don't have to answer for my comments. And then Jeffries, of course, just riding the wave of being right about this stuff. He chimes in about this.
So you have the senator from Iowa say, in response to a question that was heartfelt, about people dying prematurely because they're going to lose health care coverage under the GOP tax scam, that everyone's going to die. Yes, Joni, we know, the American people know that at some point in their lives, they are going to pass away. The cause of death should not be Republican cruelty.
Cruelty. That's the difference. That's the difference. Okay, you get hit by a bus, as long as it's not a Republican representative driving, you can't blame it on the Republicans. But this, you could tack right to Republican cruelty. And that's his point, Joni. People die for all sorts of reasons. They don't and shouldn't have to die from losing their health care, Joni.
You're back with Brett Breaks Things, where the truth hits harder than the headlines.
One of the comments I got in the YouTube was, Brett, you got to step it up. You can't use Lubriderm. You got to get the cocoa butter. You got to get, there's better stuff out there for Lubriderm. First of all.
That's what I said to you too, bro.
Yeah, you
cocoa
said
butter.
it too. You said it too. Look, I'll step it up when I get a chance. All right. Right now, keeping my hands moisturized is a work in progress. Okay. Just ask anybody in my life. But so I've got my Lubriderm still right here. My Lubriderm is for my hands. In this segment, MAGA, you might be using it for something else, because this segment, this one's for you. This whole segment's for you. We got a tweet from Kristi Noem on the heels of a major arrest. Kristi Noem, let's see. Yeah, I do have it here. Let me put this up on the board for you. A major arrest, a major dub for the administration here. Thanks to our ICE officers, this illegal alien, not undocumented immigrant, very important you understand he's an illegal alien who threatened to assassinate the president is behind bars. This threat comes not even a year after President Trump was shot in Butler, Pennsylvania, and less than 2 weeks after the former FBI director Comey called for the, talking about the shells 8647, which I thought was kind of a mistake by Mr. Comey. You had slunk away into the shadows already. Just stay there. Why poke your head out for something stupid like that? And we have the note. Okay, so there was a note with this the assassination threat. It was in the form of a note. We are tired of this president messing with us Mexicans. We have done more for this country than you white people. You have been deporting my family, and I, for one, think it is time Donald J. Trump gets what he has coming to him. I will self-deport myself back to Mexico, but not before I use my 30-06 to shoot your precious president in his head. I will see him at one of his big rallies. Criminal off the street. Noam doing her job. The justice system coming through. Well, actually, turns out there was no plans to assassinate President Trump. Not by that illegal alien that you just saw on that tweet. Turns out Fox and Christie decided to do zero amount of digging on this story or wait just 24 hours to see how this might have played out before taking the W, and then the other shoe dropped.
Illegal migrant now in custody after allegedly writing that he'll self-deport after shooting President Trump. In a letter that he sent to an ICE agent, the 54-year-old Mexican national has illegally entered the U.S. at least 9 times and has a lengthy rap sheet.
That's the Fox report that they just ran with. Fox, Kristi Noem just ran with. Proudly. Turns out he never wrote that. Turns out he doesn't even speak English. Turns out the whole damn thing was a lie.
As far as you know, is your client RM in that case, the victim who was stabbed and robbed?
Yes, he is. And we think that that's the motivation. That's why Mr. Scott wrote these letters falsely and tried to set up my client so that he would be deported before he can testify, because as the victim, he would be a very important witness in the trial that is set to go forward in July.
All right, so Scott's going to be upset with me. I didn't tell this in the right order, and you're left a little confused. So, Ramon Morales Reyes, 54 years old, in Wisconsin, undocumented immigrant, he was the one arrested for that letter. Turns out he was the victim of a robbery in which he was stabbed by one Demetric Scott, who later admitted under questioning that he wrote that letter impersonating Ramon so that this would get the attention of ICE and federal authorities, and he would be arrested and deported ahead of his trial. Demetric was going to go on trial, and Ramon was going to be the prosecution's key witness in that trial, him having been stabbed and robbed by Demetric. He was going to identify him, tell his side of the story. It would have been damning for the defense, and Demetric would have gone to jail. So what did Demetric do? He wrote that letter. He wrote that letter impersonating Ramon in hopes that ICE would get him deported. Now, Reyes did appear virtually in front of an immigration judge, and the case is going to be continued. June 10th is when it's going to be picked up. Reyes was a dishwasher in Wisconsin, father of 3. What will become of his family now? He will, I don't want to say probably. There is a good chance he will now be deported. Should he be deported as an undocumented immigrant illegally in this country? Maybe. Is this the way it should have gone down? No. And should Fox had thrown a parade in honor of this arrest on TV? Should Kristi Noem be out tweeting about this huge win for ICE? Absolutely not. Because now this guy's receiving death threats. Because nobody's going to do the digging, right? If a Trump zealot hears that some undocumented immigrant is threatening Trump's life, you think they're going to go and do due diligence to find out if their violent threats are being leveled justifiably? No, they're just going to do what they're going to do. They're going to threaten this guy's life. Who knows what happens to him in custody? Who knows if somebody leaks to one of his fellow inmates, hey, this is the guy that threatened Trump's life. Well, I'm in here for whatever. I might be facing years. I might not be seeing daylight ever again anyway. Let me do a solid for my dear leader. I would say he's in much more danger right now. Danger of being assaulted, danger of being deported to El Salvador or spirited off somewhere else. His children, who knows, right? There was another story. Oh, Maggie, you love this. You're going to love this. In Milford, Massachusetts, Marcelo Gomez, an 18-year-old student volleyball on the volleyball team, senior in high school, loved by his friends, teachers, classmates. He was pulled over and arrested by ICE on his way to volleyball practice because he was driving his father's car. His father was targeted by ICE to be detained and hopefully deported by them. They pulled over his son, Marcelo, instead and arrested him. Illegally. He had committed no crime. He is not an illegal, undocumented immigrant. Committed no crimes, gone. The community, up in arms and being vocal about it as they walked out of school and protests began.
Milford staff and students marched from the high school all the way here to Town Hall to send a clear message. They want to free Marcelo. He was an 18-year-old student who was taken by ICE Saturday morning. He was on his way to a volleyball practice when ICE agents detained him. Now the entire community is rallying together to free him.
And I wish I could sit here and say, and there's a good chance he'll be freed. I wish I could sit here and wrap that story in a pretty bow, but I cannot do that. His father's on the run. He is still detained, and there is no indication right now that he will be released. He should have never been arrested, and now there's zero indication as of right now that he will even be released. You got your lubricant ready, Mega? You're going to need it after this video. ICE has been very proud of their progress going forward, and now they're releasing hype videos. Does that make your heart swell with pride and joy? I have no problem with government officials doing their job. That was from Massachusetts. Are they as proud of the Marcelo arrest? Are you as proud? Are you proud of them for that Marcelo arrest? Should he be arrested? Should he be deported as well? Damn the law, right? Habeas corpus, day in court, out the window. And let me ask you a question. Why the masks? I know. The identity needs to be secured, but why? You know, when you see videos of the Mexican government, Mexican army taking on the cartels, they have masks, as they should, because their family or friends could be targeted for violence. I submit that's not why ICE is wearing their masks. Yes, it is to conceal their identity, but I think it's because they will face public outcry, backlash for the illegal arrests, illegal detentions, and illegal deportations to foreign jails. I submit they know the optics on this. I submit they understand why people are really getting pissed off about this, and it is very important for them to conceal their identity. Magga, how you feel about that Marcelo arrest? 18 years old, committed no crimes, not an illegal, undocumented immigrant. No, an 18-year-old senior and volleyball student who his friends and family loved, and he is now swept off the streets illegally and is nowhere to be found. You good with that?